Friends, we have one more Blaha video, bro. So we're going to react to this gym lifting recruiting fitness gear slave, Jason Blaha. In this video, Blaha says too much weak point training is killing your gains. Oh, it is it? Okay.
Building size is not the same as correcting a weak point. Hey everybody, it's Jake.
Building size is not the same as correcting a weak point. Well, if you're asking me, I think you should do your weak points first in the gym. Work on those and then work on everything else. See what I mean? You can bring up the weak points easily.
JasonBlaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. If you guys would though, please click like down below. If you are not subscribed or following, please do so. And if you would, please.
No, you've banned all those people. That's why they're not coming back to your channel, Blaha, anymore. You understand me? Now you want people to like and subscribe your videos. Nobody's gonna like and subscribe you, dude. You're banning people, so what's the point? That's just ridiculous asking them that. Give me a break, man.
Please drop me a comment down under the video to give.
Wow, that was impressive. 1 rep. Okay. What is it? What are you doing there? Performing? Performance doesn't build muscles. That's not bodybuilding. Performing is not bodybuilding. That's powerlifting. That's based on performance, but you can't build the muscle. Powerlifting doesn't build muscles. It's not a modality to build bodies. Bodybuilding is. That's why people bodybuild. But bodybuilding is not based on concentric lifting to the moon. It's based on eccentric lifting, building muscles eccentrically. Hello, because we can lift heavier, because muscles in the eccentric need to be challenged heavier to damage, because they come back bigger and stronger. And every time they come back bigger and stronger, if you want them to adapt by becoming even bigger and stronger, they have to be challenged with much heavier weight in the eccentric. Yes, dude.
Your thoughts or say hello. Thank you so much if you do that.
Yes.
All right, let's get over to the topic. And I know this sounds like common sense, but in some ways it really isn't. Oftentimes people will pick a lot of exercises to fine-tune things. Either we need to have an aesthetic or a strength weak point. We have one head of a muscle that we really want to focus on. But we also have to keep in mind we do have limited recovery. And I think people forget that you're only going to be able to generate and recover from so much fatigue in a session, depending on your work capacity, lifestyle, what sort of special supplements you're using. And I think that ladder's a big...
Oh, here we go with the special supplements. All right.
Big point for a lot of people. They forget when looking at your favorite influencer. So something to think about is, you're only going to have so much recovery available. It's only going to be so much fatigue, and I think people even forget. I've seen people point out, literally doing isolateral isolation work, one arm or leg at a time, does have its own set of fatigue that will accumulate, possibly even more than doing both sides. So your weak point training, you can really only do so much of it. And I'll give you guys some perfect examples, and this could be one people aren't going to like. Chest is a perfect example, right? Chest is a perfect example.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan of the incline bench, I think particularly for improving aesthetics, building shoulders, everything else, right? I think people know that I like the barbell and the dumbbell incline bench press, both for powerlifting purposes as well as for a lot of my physique-based clients. But if you only incline bench, really look at the data versus other stuff where you make it a high priority, your overall chest is going to suffer. And you do need to remember that, because you're throwing a lot of recovery resources into a big exercise. Okay. Right? Throwing it into a big exercise.
Yeah.
And if you're someone whose chest literally struggles with development, I don't even think that's necessarily going to be a wise choice, right? People with certain physique goals who have a big chest already, yeah, absolutely. And I think it can have a place. People who have a weak link in their bench, certain weak links can incline absolutely improve it. Yes, absolutely. So it's a great exercise.
Could that be like that guy from Superhuman You, Troy? Superhuman Troy? Yeah, that's it. That's the balloon method. He does the balloon method. You want to blow up your chest? The balloon method, sarcoplasmic training.
Nice.
Okay.
But realistically, if your whole chest is lagging, I wouldn't waste a lot of time on it. Right? I wouldn't waste a lot of time on it if your goal is a bigger chest, if you have the smaller chest. Why? Because it doesn't work the lower part as much. And it's a movement that's going to use up a fair amount of recovery time. You have to think about these things. So people say, what do you mean? So what would you do? Flat bench and weighted dips work perfect. So if you're looking for just entire chest development top to bottom, they work, and that's backed by plenty of research. Like, people really think that a flat bench or a dip doesn't work the upper chest, but every study that's ever looked at it found they did. Let me be clear on that. Every study that measured muscle growth found that the upper portion of the chest grew just fine from both of those exercises. Now, when we're talking flat bench, maybe you're not benching in a way that's going to build your chest. Maybe you're not using a grip width that works your chest correctly. Maybe your touch points aren't good. You could be doing a lot of stuff wrong. And what I say with the bench is well documented as an overall chest builder in scientific literature and in the real world. Okay? We know that it is not even subject to debate.
I would highly recommend Restore Sleep.
Real world. Okay? We know that it is not even subject to debate.
Okay, Blaha.
It's been studied over and over. It's that you may be benching too close or too wide for you to get the
Too close or too wide? That made no sense, but okay.
chest development that you want. Maybe you're not pausing. Maybe you're not pausing correctly at the bottom. Maybe you're bouncing the bar. Okay?
That makes no sense, man. Christ, man. You know how much carbs people eat? And they mistaken this growth for it's sarcoplasmic. They mistaken it for myofibrillar growth. It's not myofibrillars. They don't grow like that.
And realistically, I mean, even I personally...
You're not going to grow myofibrillar growth by eating protein. It doesn't build like that. You're not going to build myofibrillar growth because you're lifting adapted, or you're lifting concentrically, or you're exercising. They don't build like that. They don't build like that, bro. You understand me? They don't work. It doesn't work like that. Christ.
When I go ultra wide, it really does become more of a shoulder exercise, right? Something I kind of figured out. Maybe it sounds like a contradiction, because I used to say, yeah, go really wide. But does that really and truly work? No, it feels like it really works more delts. And that makes sense because it's putting the strain on the delt. So
maybe he just makes these movies because he likes, or these so-called YouTube whatever videos, because he just likes regurgitating stuff, just, I don't know, talking about nothing, nonsense. He never really gets to the point.
For a lot of guys, you're going to find a little bit inside the rings. Almost a medium grip bench for a lot of people may be the ticket they need. And we've seen that with...
What does that have to do? Medium or wide grip? What does that do? If you're getting damaged doing wide or doing narrow grip, you're going to get growth there regardless. So what does it matter whether you're doing wide, medium, close grip for your chest? What does it matter? It gets damaged, it grows. No damage, no growth. Get it? Get it, man?
Really big pro bodybuilders too, haven't we? Yeah.
Big pro bodybuilders are on steroids. These fake bodybuilders. They're not bodybuilding. They're taking drugs. You understand? If they're bodybuilding, then they would bodybuild, but they're not doing that. They're taking drugs, and they're creating a cosmetic look to go on a stage to perform. The fact that they call themselves bodybuilders is a disgrace to bodybuilding, because they're not building their bodies. Because if they did, then when they went off their fake drugs, where did all the gains go? You understand me? Look, man, it's like this. If you were to build that amount of myofibrillars like you see on these steroid people, they look massive, right? If that was myofibrillar growth, they'd be so fucking strong. Jesus, they'd rip arms off. They'd be massively strong, but they're not, because they haven't built any myofibrillar growth, because they lived conventionally, you understand me? And they got a different outcome. Let me get this straight. So they lifted conventionally previously, full range of motion, right? And they got nothing. They got a zero. They're adapted. And all of a sudden, they got a different outcome lifting conventionally because they took steroids? What was the different outcome that they got lifting conventionally? What would be the outcome? You think steroids have magic powers that they can give you a different outcome lifting in the same full range of motion? You have to be crazy. Steroids, they don't build muscles. They enhance your performance because they're fucking fucking molecules, duh. But guess what? You still have to damage it in the eccentric, heavy loads. But they don't do that. Those fake bodybuilders, they don't do eccentric exercise because they're not building anymore. You understand me? They're faking. They're not building. They're faking. That's totally different.
I've seen a few who's like, man, they have massive pecs, and you look like, wow, they bench fairly close. Not a true close grip, but
they have massive pecs because they bench close. They got massive pecs because they took steroids. Shut up.
Medium grip, and I've seen some. So that might be for you. And how do we determine that? Well, where do your elbows stack the deepest?
No, that's not going to work for any of you lifting conventionally, where they failed because they took drugs. So if you wanna fake it like they did because they want to get a different outcome lifting in the exact same form, you understand me? Then go take drugs. Do what they did. Take drugs.
And again, perfect example.
Perfect example.
If you just bench in a way to where your elbows get to the lowest angle possible, you're putting a deeper stretch on the pecs. Either pause or do a very controlled touch and go. Guess what? You're going to build a big chest. You're going to build a big chest. Combine that with dips with a forward lean. Your entire chest is going to grow top to bottom.
Oh, man.
Okay? Entire chest is going to grow top to bottom. Now, if you're someone then who you're like, man, my whole chest is filling out and I don't have an upper chest, well, then by all means, incline then becomes a phenomenal exercise. But understand, we're addressing a weak point. We're not building the whole muscle. We can make the same case with something like a tricep, right?
Hey, look at him, man. He looks funny. He's just throwing the weight up and down, up and down, up and down. It's eccentric, but he's just throwing it up and down.
So a laying extension is a great.
There's no control of the weight. He's not controlling the weight on the way down. He's just tossing it up and down. Look at his elbows. Look at his arm where it's bent because he can't handle the weight going up. He's trying to bring it up for a concentric, but he can't make it. So you can see this is obviously concentric. So he's pulling the weight. It looks like he's swinging. It's kind of a swing and a pull. See that? Look at where his elbows are. They're not parallel to his body. His body's bent forward and his elbows are sticking backward. You understand me? So when he brings it down, it's kind of like it's a spring action. He's not bringing it with control down, so it's not eccentric. It's not eccentric because there's no control. Look, he's just dropping it.
Overall builder, one that gets the bar behind that, the ones you guys see me do. Why?
He's swinging it. He's just swinging it.
It works all three heads of the tricep really evenly. That's an overall builder. It's not addressing a weak point. It's an exercise that just builds the entire tricep.
It's a weak point. It builds the entire tricep. What are you talking about?
Pretty evenly, all three heads.
How does it build all three heads? How does it build three heads?
Okay, you understand that difference?
No, I don't understand. Explain it, please.
So if you're coming in and
why are you throwing the weight up in the air? Why are you throwing it? There's no control.
Focusing just entirely on something that's...
What is this? What is this?
Only going to work the long head, like a cable or whatever, but you're not getting sufficient work for the whole thing. You are investing a lot of recovery resources.
This isn't bodybuilding, man. We don't use our arms, dude.
To that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
Your back workout seems to be an arm workout. Are you working your back or are you working your arms?
Just simply pointing that out. So that's the thing.
The muscles are back there. They're in your back, Blaha. They're not in your arms. Your back muscles, they don't reside in your arms. They reside in your back. Why are you bending your arms? Why is this an arm exercise?
Think about, of when we start dealing.
Here we go, arm exercise again, man. Your arms, look, is this like hammer curls now? Bro, your arms, no wonder why they're so small. You overwork them and then they shrink.
With the weak point training, it should always take a little bit of a backseat in your training.
Man, this is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, Christ.
And you shouldn't need to do multiple exercises for it. Okay? You shouldn't need to do multiple exercises. Stick on the stuff that's going to build a really, really big, like back, for example, like right there. You see me doing an upper back exercise. Yeah, I do a little bit of that on just to work that upper back a little more on an inclined dumbbell. But you have to use the big builders, weighted pull-ups, normal barbell rows. Those are what's going to be the meat and potatoes. Okay? So always remember that. Your focus needs to be on the big movements. And if you need something to fill in the gaps a little bit, do it afterwards. And that's the point that I'm making. Come in and understand that you don't need to spend most of your time doing that. I'm going to go out on a limb and say weak point training of any of that nature should only comprise at most 20% of your workout. Right? The majority of it should be geared towards just getting overall big. Right? It should be geared towards just getting overall big, and you're still going to do really, really well. If you don't ever bother with the weak point stuff, you're still going to be just fine. You just may not have a perfect proportion, or you might not have every weak link short up for your
Didn't he talk about that in the last video? Weak links. Okay, weak point here. Your points. These weak points.
your top lifts, but you're still going to be really jacked and really strong.
You're going to be really jacked and really strong. No, none of you are.
Guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative.
Nobody is. None of the people that took up his 5x5 program, the ice cream fitness 5x5, none of them got jacked or strong. None of them. They all failed. Their channels are closed. They're gone. They disappeared. Many powerlifters that I know online, their channels are closed or they're gone. They haven't posted in more than a year, and some of them more than a couple of years. I'm not joking. I can prove it. I can go to these channels, 5x5, whatever, or powerlifting, Max Strasny, all these people, they're all gone. They don't post anymore. They disappeared. Because it's shit. That's why. When you don't see results, you just are like, why should I waste my time here? Waste my time and I'm not getting any results. People want results. They don't have time. They don't have 10 years or 15 years or 20 years to build some muscle. They want to see results. And eccentric exercise gets you where you want to go when it comes to building muscle, strength, and size. Okay, dude? And it happens quickly. Within a few weeks to a couple of months, you see the gains, okay?
And I'll talk to you guys and gals the next time.
Well, look at him walking. He looks ridiculous. This turtle. See you in the next one, friends.